Netflix, I have a real bone to pick with you about this new Transformers series. I just got done watching it, and I, I just got done watching it, and I have to say this: How could you? How could you? How could you not tell us when the next ones are coming out? I can't wait. Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to an all-new Cross and Streams. As always, I am your host, the real Gino Reynolds, and today I am so excited because I finally get to talk about Transformers War for Cybertron Chapter 1 Siege. I wasn't sure what they were doing with this Cybertron trilogy. I didn't know it was going to be like 3 mini movies all released today, but no, it's more like 3 mini seasons. And we get chapter 1 today, and we don't know when we get chapter 2, which is unfortunate. If you couldn't tell by the intro, I really like this season, or this chapter, or whatever you want to call it. So if you don't want any spoilers, just watch it, especially if you're a Transformers fan. Just watch this show. It's great. The animation's great. The story's really good. The character motivations are really good. I dug pretty much everything about it. I'll talk about the minor problems here that I had in a bit, but they're pretty minor problems. What the story is about, it's basically an origin story for what happened between Optimus Prime and Megatron and why they're on opposing sides, and it's the war for the planet, basically. You get also stories for Bumblebee in this. Jetfire has a major arc, and a few other characters have some arcs here and there. There's a lot of great character motivation in this, as I said before. I want to talk about what I didn't like first, and again, that's a very, very minor lists here. The first thing, why have I been seeing this thing called an anime? I'm kidding, because I have seen that, and this isn't really anime. The animation in this is pretty phenomenal, though. I love the way everything looked. One thing I didn't think I was gonna like was not having Frank Welker and Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime and Megatron. But honestly, it didn't take me very long to not care. I'm not saying I trust me, I would have loved to have had them here, but here's the thing, and I got to realize this as a fan, and I have on other things too. I've been accepting of the of other people voicing characters I love. I'm getting older, and which means they're getting older, which means maybe they're ready to move on. And the guys that they got to do a lot of the voices in this have played these roles before in other cartoons and things. So the guy they got to do Optimus sounded a lot like Peter Cullen. The other guy doing Megatron, not so much, but I didn't hate his Megatron voice. I really liked it, to be honest. It made him sound way more menacing than Frank Welker's version did. And then the guy they got to do Starscream sounded a lot like Starscream too, which I really like that. So I didn't have any problem with the voice actors or anything. Even though I thought it might bother me, it didn't really bother me at all. Again, I would have loved to have had the classics again, but it's just like any other, voice actors and stuff. Eventually, you're gonna have to move on, and if these are the guys taking over, I have no real issue with it. When it comes to some of the voice actors, like Ironhide, didn't really sound like a tough guy like he normally did. That was kind of weird. But again, his character's Ironhide's pretty minor in this so far, so that wasn't really a big deal either. So yeah, I didn't have really a whole lot of issues with this chapter. I mean, I don't know if I think they could have used more time in the episodes to flesh out some of these stories, because there is a lot going on, and I will talk about some of it. I won't spoil anything big, but I do have to talk about some of the character motivations and everything. So, and that kind of plays into the story. So I will dance around that a bit. So yeah, you've got the story of Optimus and Megatron first, and what I really liked about it is they talk about how they kind of used to be brothers. They came up together, where they were basically slaves and they wanted their freedom. But whereas Optimus wanted everyone to just be free, Megatron wanted to rule. So that's where their ideologies split. And one thing you really notice about this right away, because in the first episode, Megatron and Optimus do face off. One thing you notice real quick is that Optimus Prime isn't the alpha dog in this. And normally in most Transformers things that you see, Optimus is confident. He's strong. He's always overpowering Megatron. I mean, the only reason Megatron was able to kill him in the 80s movie is because Optimus is trying to help Hot Rod, who got in the way. And that caused him to let his guard down. And this, Megatron is the alpha dog. And they even say in this that Optimus is like, you could have been the greatest of us. You should have been our leader, but you turned into what you turned into. And so with Optimus isn't as strong as I mean, he's strong, don't get me wrong. He puts up a good fight against a lot of Decepticons, but he's not as strong as Megatron. So in a way, he's going to have to find a way to beat Megatron, not just by being Optimus Prime. But you have Optimus Prime is not very confident in himself. His orders are being questioned. Ultra Magnus is one of his advisors, which, by the way, Ultra Magnus plays he's not in this a ton, but he does play a major part. And funny story is when it came to the toys, apparently he's in this spoiler box. And now I can see why, with what they did with him. But him and Optimus Prime disagree on things. When it comes to Megatron, he starts off where, yes, he wants to rule, but he has a lot of honor. He doesn't want to he just wants the war to be over, and he wants to rule. That's what he wants. But it gets to a point where he wants to win at all costs. He's tired of losing to this ragtag group of traitors, and they're always surviving, and he can't take it anymore. And so he starts using a lot of drastic measures, and I'll talk about some of those in a bit. At least I'll hint to them, because I can't really give them away without giving away major plot points. But what I also liked about Megatron is at the Capitol, he will put out videos all over Cybertron where he's spreading lies. Like, say a Decepticon dies in battle, he'll say that the Autobots murdered him and things like that. And they'll like do a tribute to this fallen soldier, this fallen hero. And so I like that he used a lot of propaganda in his messages. And on both sides, you'll see in this that it's not all just good versus evil. You have Autobots questioning Optimus. You have Decepticons questioning Megatron. And some loyalties may or may not flip-flop in this. And I really like what they did with that. I like that some of the Autobot characters are characters you know as Autobots from the cartoon aren't Autobots in this, starting with Bumblebee. Bumblebee is a mercenary, and the only reason he gets involved in this is that he's doing a job for the Autobots, and it leads to a really cool scene where the Decepticons keep calling him an Autobot, and he's like, I'm not an Autobot. And Megatron says, I'm not an Autobot, and Megatron says, oh, then you're a coward, then you won't choose sides. And of course, through things I can't reveal, Bumblebee does become involved. And I don't want to really spoil it. I mean, of course, Bumblebee is probably going to become one of the greatest Autobot heroes, because that's just what Bumblebee does. But he's that scrappy little guy that becomes important to the cause. But he does play a bigger part in this, and I can't really talk about that. You also follow the story of Jetfire, who is the leader of the Decepticon aerial soldiers, Starscream, and all the Starscream type clone type characters that they did 15 different paint jobs on toys when we were a kid. Jetfire, I won't say it here, but if you followed the original cartoons and stuff, you know what's going to kind of happen with Jetfire. That leads me to Starscream, who, in a way, is kind of one of the most interesting characters for me. I've always loved Starscream, but in this, they take it a step further. Of course, Starscream is always very ambitious, and he always wants to lead, and he's always looking for an advantage, and you get all that here. But because first, I mean, he's questioning Jetfire's orders, right? And I should be leading them, and Megatron's even cautioning him on his ambitions, even though Megatron falls for it in this, and because Starscream is, again, very ambitious and very convincing, and there's times he's questioning Megatron's orders, and that's where this leads to something very interesting. And it also makes me question why the show was rated Y7, because though it's very subtle, Starscream is kind of racist in this. Because, see, he considers Decepticons and Autobots as two different races. And they're talking about let's just say they're wanting the Autobots to join the Decepticons instead of dying in battle. They want them to, until all are one, right? Which, by the way, Megatron twists the message until all are one in this, and it's perfect. They want the Autobots to become Decepticons, we'll just say, and Starscream is basically saying, we don't want the Autobots, like, tainting our bloodline, basically, and it sounded very racist to me. But then again, it's an interesting take on his character, other than just being, I want to be the leader, kind of like it was in the 80s cartoon. I should be in charge. So his ambition is fueled, in a way, by his hatred of another race. And that makes for an interesting dynamic to his character. Then we got Soundwave, who Soundwave has always been my favorite Transformer. Soundwave in this, they haven't given him a ton to do, but you can still see that he is Megatron's loyal right-hand man. But there is a little bit of him questioning Megatron's orders, because the character we're about to talk about here in a second wants to do some things that Soundwave doesn't think it's the right thing for Cybertron. But he's very loyal to Megatron, so he goes along with it. Will he stand up to Megatron? Is that something they'll do? Will they change that character, or will he just forever be loyal to Megatron? We don't know. We got 2 more chapters. And of course, you get Ravage and Laserbeak in this too. They don't ever show him coming out of his chest or anything, but they're there, and they use them a little bit. I hope they use those 2 more. I always loved Ravage and Laserbeak as well. Then we get to Shockwave. Shockwave in this was one of the bigger changes that they made. If you reminded me of anybody, it was Qyburn from Game of Thrones, where it turns out he's kind of like the mad scientist of the Decepticons. He's doing experiments. He's the torturer. He's even doing experiments that Megatron doesn't know about. Megatron even kind of chides him on that a little bit. He's like, oh, something else I don't know about, like this has happened before. And again, I can't really talk about what he does because it would give away major plot points. But let's just say that Shockwave likes to play dirty. And that's he doesn't mind cracking a few eggs. We'll just leave it at that. He doesn't mind cracking a few eggs to make the omelet. So there's a lot of different character motivations. Those are the main ones. So you have a lot of other characters in this that you do know. And I think, honestly, the show, in a way, needed you to kind of know the original to kind of get some of these characters. I mean, you see like Wheeljack and Ironhide and a few others pop up. and a lot of them don't have really major storylines or anything, but you kind of, in a way, it's like, okay, I know that one. Like Cliff Jumper. Cliff Jumper gets about as much screen time in this as he got in Bumblebee. So there's a lot of characters that you know, and I think they're counting on you to know. But what I did like is, like Bumblebee, a lot of the characters that were Autobots in the original, they're not Autobots in this. They're just on their own, or they used to be Autobots, or they used to be affiliated with someone, and they're like, well, we need to go talk to this person or that person, and it's another character you know. And I thought that was a neat way of doing it, not just having, again, all these characters blindly following their leader. So when it comes to characters, again, I would have liked some more time with some of them. An extra 10 minutes an episode might have been nice, but what we got, the character development's really good for the ones that matter. And when it comes to the plot, again, I can't really talk about a lot of it, but let's just say that some people will do anything, will take chances, will take chances that they don't know the outcome, even though the outcome's been hinted to them. Like, if we do this, this might happen. I don't care. We need to do it because if the bad guys get said item, we're really in trouble. So we have to take risks. The plot has a lot of moving pieces and moving characters, and it's great. I loved every second of the plot. The action, the animation's really good in this. So yeah, I can't recommend this enough. I can't wait for chapter 2, whatever it's going to be called. This does end on a cliffhanger, but if what one of the characters says really happened, people will turn chapter 2 off if they do what they said they did. But we know that something that what this person said didn't happen, and the story will continue. But yeah, I loved every second of this. I wanted more episodes. I was ready for chapter 2. We don't know when it's coming out, unfortunately, but as a Transformers fan, when I saw Bumblebee, the opening for Bumblebee, I said, I want a whole movie of this. Well, that's what this is. That's what this series feels like so far, is that opening to Bumblebee that I wanted a whole movie about, and I got it here, and I loved it. Again, minor complaints aside, I can't recommend this enough, especially if you are a Transformers fan. That's going to be all for this edition of Crossing Streams. If you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Real Gino YouTube channel, like this video. If you have anything to say about War for Cybertron Chapter 1, Siege, please feel free to leave a comment in the section below. Till next time, I am your host, the Real Gino Reynolds. Transform and roll out.